Hi all, think you can't make bread? Think it's too much work? Well, think again. This is our focaccia. Light, airy, bubbly and oh so delicious, and best of all, you don't even have to knead it. We're using time, gentle folding and a bit of patience to make a bread that's soft inside, golden outside and bursting with flavour. This bread is perfect for sandwiches, beautiful toasted, and honestly it's incredible just torn apart and dipped in good olive oil with some parmesan and balsamic at the start of a meal. You'll find the full recipe and method on studiokitchen.com.au. As a chef, I can promise you this is a great place to start your bread making journey. Let's get started with this recipe. Talk about the ingredients. We've got flour, we've got salt, we've got extra virgin olive oil, and we've got a packet of dry active yeast, and we've also got water. And just on the water, we need to check the temperature. Too hot and it will kill the yeast. Too cold, this will take ages. So we're looking for a nice warm temperature of about 28 to 30 degrees before we get going with this. Onto the flour, just quickly, we're using Italian 00 flour. It's the kind labelled for pizza or bread. Check the side of the packet for the protein content. You want at least 12%. That means it's high in gluten and it will give you a lighter and bubblier loaf. Avoid the low protein 00 flour made for pasta, it won't work very well here. In a large bowl we combine that warm water, salt, yeast and the extra virgin olive oil. And we give it a really good mix. Then we're going to add all of that flour in all at once. Dump it in and we're going to give it a stir just for about a minute. We're not looking for anything super perfect here. It will look rough and shaggy and that's exactly right. When you've got to that stage, we're going to have a rest. We're going to cover the bowl with a tea towel and let it sit for 30 minutes. After that, we're going to begin the stretch and the folds. Time to make a quick confit garlic. Peel about 10 cloves, add them to a saucepan with some extra virgin olive oil and get it on the very lowest setting of your stove. Even move it to the side so it doesn't boil too hard. We're going to let this confit and cook slowly for about an hour. This is going to go on top of our bread. Time for the first stretching and folding, and look at that, it's been resting for half an hour now and that's kind of what it looks like. I've got a little bowl to the side of cold water and I'm just putting my hands in there. It's going to help the dough not stick to my hands. So putting my fingers down the side of the bowl and just gently lifting that dough over onto itself, trying to lift it up as much as possible to give it a stretch and then folding it back onto itself. I'm going to give this 5 stretches and folds, and each time I do it I turn the bowl a little bit so I'm always getting a new piece of dough. Now this dough doesn't have a lot of structure at the moment. It is quite fragile, but it will get that structure as we keep mixing it a little bit later on and that gluten develops. But just for now, this is the first of our 5 stretches and folds and we're just lifting it up there, using the water every single time so it doesn't stick to your fingers. And I'm happy with that. I'll get a scraper and I'm just going to clean the side of the bowl, pop a tea towel, put it somewhere warm and we're going to leave that for half an hour. On to our second stretch and fold. Now look at that, already it has expanded. The dough has risen, the yeast has been activated and there's more structure this time. As I'm putting my hands in the cold water, turning the bowl round and then lifting that dough, stretching it and folding it onto itself. It is a lot easier than it was the first time and I can feel that structure is starting to happen inside my dough. It's still fragile, so be careful with it, but get your fingers down and just lift it and fold it onto itself and turn it around every single time. At the end of 4 or 5 stretches and folds, use your scraper to just clean the side of the bowl, and again let's rest it for half an hour. On to our third stretch and fold. Look at that dough, it's so good, it's wobbling around. Now this is a high hydration dough. And that means there's a lot of water in the mix. It's too much to knead by hand, which is why we're doing it in the bowl, and we're letting the water do the heavy lifting with all this stretching and folding. And the resting in between, the stretching and the folding, that's how the structure of your dough develops and where the magic happens. This bread is going to be super light and airy. It's going to have lots of pockets of bubbles and air in it. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to have a great flavour of olive oil. And I'm just completing the third section of my stretching and folding. I'm really happy with how this is going at the moment. And how easy is it? Scraping down the sides, leave it to one side in a warm spot for a half an hour. Back to our oil and our garlic. Look at that. It's been confit for about an hour, so I'm just straining it off now. I'm keeping that oil. I'm going to use that on top of the dough. But before that's ready, it's our fourth stretch and fold now. This is getting to the pointy end now. It's looking really great. This is our last stretch and fold before we start to shape it. And I'm getting my hands nice and wet, lifting it all over itself and turning it on top of itself. And every time, again, make sure you turn that bowl kind of 90 degrees, although we're doing this 5 times, you know, up to about 90 degrees. Make sure that we're really covering all of this dough and make sure that we're mixing it evenly. Scraping it down again using my scraper, put the tea towel over the top, and we're going to rest it for another half an hour. Now let's talk about the toppings. I've got some olives here, and I've also got some fresh rosemary. I've cut off some sprigs. I've got that garlic, and I've also got that oil which has been infused with the garlic. I'm lining my tray. I've got a shallow baking dish here. Put some oil in and then the paper in so it sticks, and then a little bit more oil. You might think this is too much oil, but I tell you, focaccia just soaks it up. It's like a giant sponge. And we're ready now for the 5th stretch and fold. This is the final stretching before we prove it for the very last time. And look at that, look at all the air in there. I've got my hands nice and wet and I'm lifting it up. The dough feels really light and airy, and I'm twisting it the whole time. And I'm just getting that last final amount of stretching and folding in there. And this really is such an easy thing to do. All you need is time and a little bit of patience. And I'm so happy with how this feels. And it doesn't matter that you're adding more water to this dough, because the water helps with the lightness and the airiness of it. Got both hands wet now, and I'm lifting that dough out of the bowl, and I'm just trying to get it into a manageable shape for me to put into my prepared baking tray. That looks pretty good to me, so in it goes. And it doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be neat. This is focaccia after all. It's a rustic bread. Got some oil here. That's that garlic infused oil, and I'm just putting it on top and just making sure I spread out the dough just gently to the edges of the tray. Now this dough does have to be proved again before the final bake. So we're going to leave this to the side. I'm going to pop a lid on it so it doesn't get a skin. We're going to leave it in a warm spot in our kitchen for about, well, up to 2 hours. This one took 2 hours to do, but it depends on how warm your kitchen is. I'll set a 2-hour timer and we'll come back and have a look. Okay, let's have a look. We're lifting that lid off and it looks fantastic. Look at those pockets of air in there. And I'm giving it a little jiggle. It's so fantastic. It's so much fun to make. Now, we used water on our hands earlier. I'm just using some of that oil just to keep my fingertips nice and lubricated while I do the jiggle. So putting your hands and your fingers in there, just giving it a jiggle. This is going to encourage some pockets of air to pop up. Our confit garlic, I'm just going to put it on top and just push them in. Now you can't put raw garlic on top, which is why we confit it first, because the garlic won't cook sufficiently in the amount of time for the bread to bake. So that's why we did a confit garlic, but you could also do roasted garlic. But I like to do the confit because then I can use the oil for the top of the bread as well. I've got some olives, whatever olives that you've got here. And also you can do any toppings on your focaccia. You could do cherry tomatoes, you could do some vegetable bits, you could do herbs, you could do whatever you want. You could even put some cheese on there, but I love olives, I love the garlic, and I love the rosemary. It's a classic focaccia, and this is what we're going to make today. So pushing those in there, just in the little holes, before adding our fresh rosemary. I've cut sprigs, and I've also pulled some of the leaves off the rosemary, and we're just going to push that onto the top of the dough. And this looks absolutely fantastic, and this is going to be so good. I cannot wait for this to come out of the oven later on. I've preheated my oven nice and hot. You want to make sure this is hot so you can encourage the dough to rise quite quickly and also get some colour on top. Before it goes in the oven, I'm just going to put some salt flakes on top. Look at that. You never have too much, and even a bit more olive oil, why not? I'm keeping a little bit to brush on that cooked loaf at the end. Look at that, fantastic. This is ready to go in the oven. Like I said, my oven's preheated, it's nice and hot. This won't take too long, and in it goes. This is going to be absolutely sensational. Cannot wait. Check it out. Check out the colour on top. This is so good. And I'm just going to brush more of that oil on top just while it's hot. And this smells incredible. It looks absolutely fantastic. When it's cool, get it out of that tin, put it onto a rack. Let it cool for a bit. Don't try and cut it while it's too hot, otherwise you'll make a mess. You might collapse it as well, but look at that inside, all that steam. This is amazing. It's perfect for sandwiches, beautiful toasted, or try it with that Parmesan, balsamic and olive oil at the start. I hope you love this. I hope you make it. Check out the recipe on studiokitchen.com.au. Thanks guys.